All right, let's talk to our Giants insider, Alex Pavlovic, who now joins us after the quietest deadline that ever was here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Pavs, how we doing, man?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good. So why don't you let us know why? Why nothing?
Well, one, I think there wasn't a lot out there. I mean, I know you guys bring up names, and I hear names like DeYoung. Like, they'd rather just have the people they have here. I think they'd rather play the kids. They would rather do what Marco Luciano had. So there was just a bunch of guys like that where it was kind of like, replacement level players. And I think at that point they felt like, let's just go with what we have. But beyond that, I mean, I don't know that this isn't 2021 where you're going to take a huge swing because Chris Bryant is the final piece. I think there was just not that piece that they felt was going to kind of be the perfect fit. And I know a lot of people look at the rotation. They're really happy with the way the pitching staff is pitched. They're happy with those guys. I know people hate bullpen games. They're working. They're 14-5 in bullpen games, and they're pretty happy with the way it's gone. So I understand why people are upset, but I think this was kind of telegraphed the last couple of weeks. They've talked a lot about how successful they've been with the way they're kind of utilizing this pitching staff. You could hear it the last week. I think they're pretty happy with the way the weekend went, and that emboldens them a little bit to just stick with what they're doing.
Is it a fair criticism to say that they're building teams for April through September and not for October?
Well, I think it goes back to, this has always been the way the A's view it and the way the Dodgers view it. And I know this is a criticism to Dodgers fans as well at times, is that, the executives down there have long said October's kind of a crapshoot. And it's hard to build for October because it's basically, look what we saw last year. The Phillies just got hot for a few weeks, and you get pretty close to winning a World Series. We have seen that here. The Giants were not the best team when they won in 2014 or 2012. They just got hot. So I think that's just kind of the view of a lot of teams, that you don't build for October because there's no real way to build for October.
Alex Pavlovic joining us here on Willard and Dibs. Okay, so, Alex, what is the plan with the starting rotation now that there was no addition there?
The plan is what you saw over the weekend, and I think the plan is what you saw a little bit last night. I mean, they've been really successful in those games. They've found a way to deploy those guys. I know it's not the sexiest plan. I know it not everybody's always happy with the way they've been used, but I think they look at it and go, look, we found a better way to use Minaya, a better way to use some of these guys who struggled when they were in the rotation. Now, I don't know if they'll be going with just two actual starting pitchers the rest of the half. I could see Stripling getting more starts. I could see Alex Wood getting more starts, and Keaton Winn if he gets healthy. But, for the most part, they feel like the best thing they can do with the guys they have and the way these guys have pitched is just to kind of patch these games together. And patch isn't even the right word. I mean, it's pretty orchestrated, and there's a lot of research. There's a lot of analytics that goes into it, and they feel like it's worked really well. And I do think, like, again, not to go back to that one-loss record, they're much, much better in games where they use an opener than they are in games where they didn't.
And the Ryan Walker factor is one of the crazy baseball anomalies of all time, where they just simply don't lose when he is the opener. Beyond the pitching staff, Alex, what do they do to fix this offense short of having certain players come back from the injury list?
Well, first, can I just bring up, I don't think it's an anomaly. I mean, I think there's kind of a method there, and that it's this Ryan Walker is a really effective pitcher. And, they're trying to get 2 or 3 innings out of him in those games. So that's part of why that works. Is if you can get 3 shutout innings out of that guy, you only need 6 innings from the rest of them. And you have the Rogers twins, and you have Duvall. So there's not a whole lot you need from somebody else. But just in terms of the rest of the team, I mean, yeah, Estrada's going to be back this week. That's huge. Mitch Haniger's a few weeks away. I think the risk for them is that we know that guys are going to get hurt again. So they feel like they'll be back to who they were a couple months ago if they can get healthy. There's a risk in that a couple guys go down over the next 2 months, and you're back to where you've been the last month, which is, starting 4 or 5 rookies every night, and there's going to be a lot of growing pains there.
Alex, when Estrada does get back to the Giants, who's getting sent out, you think?
Well, Sean Jelly's here right now, and A.J. Pollock's here, and they haven't made any moves. We'll see how they settle just coming at it today. I do think you look at the middle infield, and I don't know that it is what they want the next 2 months or the next few weeks, to have 2 rookies, 2 very, very highly touted rookies in Luciano and Schmidt as backup infielders. So if Crawford is healthy and if Estrada is back, I would imagine you probably see one of those guys go to AAA and play every day.
And you would need to find a way to shore that up in terms of long term, and maybe Casey Schmidt can go down and work on it and come back and be ready to roll. Why was Patrick Bailey been so good as opposed to other rookies who've been more up and down at the plate? What's the difference in his approach, or what's led to his success?
Well, he's been up and down too. I mean, he had 6 hits in his last 13 games until last night. So I think you've just seen it. It's really, really hard for rookies to come in here and be consistent. And they're asking a lot of these guys. Patrick, I think, has a little bit better approach than some of the guys who have been up here, and certainly that helps. And there's a little bit more power. So some of those balls that maybe are getting held up for somebody like a Luis Matos, and are dying kind of on the track, those are hitting the wall for Patrick. Some of them cleared the wall. So I think that's helped him in general. But I don't think it should be surprising to anybody that all these guys have kind of gone through it. But look, they're all far ahead of schedule. And the Giants, in a weird way, they're rebuilding at the same time as they're competing for a playoff spot, because they are starting a bunch of kids. They are a lot of nights starting 2 21-year-olds and 2 24-year-olds, and kind of working towards that future and hoping these guys can figure it out at the big league level.
Alex Pavlovic, our Giants insider, is with us here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Alex, a short time ago on MLB Network, Harold Reynolds sort of characterized the Giants' silence as being a money-saving aspect toward the offseason and getting ready for Shohei Ohtani. Do you agree with that? Do we take anything from a quiet deadline and apply it to the offseason?
No, I think not at all. I mean, there's short of doing what short of going and getting Verlander and Scherzer and not having the Mets pick up the tab, which we know the Mets were willing to pick up the tab. Like, you're not really doing much at the deadline that's impacting your finances. And the Shohei number is going to be such a high number that I don't think it doesn't matter what you did in July. I mean, it's just a matter of, are you willing to write a $500 million check, a $600 million check, whatever it becomes. No move that they made here, no utility infielder who cost $3 million that they would pick up on August 1st is going to impact what they do this offseason.
Alex, thanks, man. Look forward to seeing you soon.
All right, guys, take it easy.
All right, there he is, Alex Pavlovic on the Giants situation.